As I mentioned in my How to Pick a Whistle video, it's a well-known fact that these cast plastic heads have a fault that makes these whistles harder to play than they need to be. And it's also a well-known fact that there is a fairly easy fix that at least helps most of these whistles to play easier and better. It's so well known that there are no videos at all about it on the internet. On the Chiff and Fipple message board, for instance, there's whole threads about this particular fix. It's generally called the Bluetac fix, and Bluetac is the brand name of a particular kind of poster putty. This is poster putty. This is not Bluetac, but it is the same thing. Poster putty. You can buy it in hardware stores, stationery stores, or I got this at the grocery store. The technique for using poster putty to improve your whistle is pretty simple. Most of these whistles, the head is glued on. Now on the Walton's High D, it's not glued on, but it's tight enough so it's difficult to get off. To get it off, get yourself a cup of hot water. Doesn't have to be boiling, it shouldn't be boiling. It should be just hot from the tap. And just dip the end of the whistle in there and stir it. And once the whistle head warms up a bit, take a towel and just twist the head off. That one came out pretty easy, because like I say, the Waltons have no glue. The Generation may be more difficult. I don't recommend doing this to a Clark. When I tried it on this one, I didn't even put it in hot water. I just wanted to see how tight it was, and it immediately cracked. This has a tapered bore, a little more complicated, so I'll show you a different way of fixing this one. Once you have the two pieces, put your tube aside. You're going to work with the head. Pull off a little piece of poster putty. I've got some prepared over here. Take some experimentation to find the right size ball. But basically it's going to be a ball about that big. A little bigger, a little smaller. About the size of a pea. What you're going to do is just take the little ball. Now let me see if I can show you here. I'm going to draw you a picture of what the inside of this looks like so you can see what we're trying to accomplish. But basically, underneath this windway here, there's a hollow. There's a roof, a floor, but you can see it's cast as one piece. This piece right here, this curve, in a traditional whistle, one like this, it would be filled with the fipple. But on a cast head, it's not filled with anything, it's hollow. On a handmade whistle, and even some commercial whistles, the fipple is a separate piece. It fills the tube and creates the windway. On a cast head, the windway is cast, and that leaves a little hollow underneath the windway, which is empty, where the fipple would normally be. You can see it here in the picture. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little piece of poster putty, and we're going to fill that hollow. To do that, take your little pea of poster putty, drop it in, and then with a plastic pen or a number 2 pencil, just very gently, turn the windway towards yourself so you can see what you're doing. Just very gently press it back in under the windway to fill that hollow. Now, I use a jeweler's screwdriver to finish it up. Be very, very careful with this. You do not want to harm in any way the blade of the head. That blade has to be smooth, has to be even, and if you put a nick in it, it's going to change the sound of the whistle forever. So be very careful when you do this. Take your little tool and go inside and make sure that there's no poster putty in front of the windway and it's pretty much filling the hollow smoothly. So I'm going to work on this one. I'm just pushing it back from the windway, and then I'm going to use the flat of it to smooth it. The idea is that it'll make a uniform straight ball that basically replaces the straight wall of the fipple. Can you see it in there? There it is. Where there was a little cave, I've now plugged it up, blocked it, filled it. Then put your tube back on. By the way, removing the head like this makes any whistle tunable. So if you happen to get a generation that's way out of tune, take the head off by using hot water. Whether or not you fill the cave under the windway, you can twist your tube in and out to get it maybe perhaps closer to concert tune. Okay, now we've got that far. Let's see if it's improved. Remember this whistle from my first video and how delicate that bottom note was? Much more stable. Improved the high note too. How about the octaves? The bell note is now much more stable, and the octave is easier to reach all the way up. And that's just a matter of filling in that little hole. When you get to something like the Dixon, it's more complicated because there's no way to take the head off. It's cast in one piece. And also, the cavity under the windway is not that cave-shaped. It's actually a little round hole. So you have to start with a P that's slightly smaller, and you have to drop it all the way down the tube, the barrel of the whistle. Unless you have a very long pen, you're not going to be able to reach. So what I have here is a long piece of dowel. That will allow me to go down and actually press. You might notice that after I press a second, I spin this. That's to break the adhesion between the putty and the dowel and allow me to continue to work it. On the Dixon, because of the shape of the hole and how deep it is, it took me a couple of tries to find the right size P of poster putty. And you may have to dig this out, and again, be very, very careful digging it out, because that's when you're most likely to damage the blade. Ah. Still very delicate at the bottom end, but much improved. By the way, if you're going to do this to your Clark whistle, you're going to try your poster putty fix. I recommend trying it at least to see whether it improves it for you. Don't try to take the head off. You're likely to break the head. With this whistle, you definitely need to use the dowel method and go in from this end. That's the Bluetac fix. Now, people who tweak whistles have a number of other little things they do to improve the sound of the whistle. But this is very simple and very easy. And on many whistles, the Walton Melody, the Dixon, the Fee Dog, it makes a real difference. On some, not so much. But it's worth a try before you give up on your whistle. So there you have it. It's never too late to whistle, and I hope you enjoy it.